and and I remember that it's a significant thought where Ravi Shastri, who tries to play this urban SECA individual, he tells Virender Sehwag in a post-match conference, Sehwag, the ball was coming onto the batch, not much grass on it. Whatever little grass is basically dead grass rolled on to keep the wicket together. What is your strategy going into the game today? Have you watched the report? Does the ball seem to be coming up to the... ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, बॉल बल्ले पे आ रही थी, मैंने मार दी बस. The future of Indian cricket also rests on a very, very fine shoulders called Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I mean, there were times that cricketers you interacted with, they had no view except for the game that they were playing. If you talk to Dhoni, you'll realize that Dhoni has an opinion on everything in Jharkhand politics as well. See, this is a new India, which you will see they're absolutely multitaskers in their respective fields. They can sign a 200 crore contract as well very easily and then still go and play good cricket. And that is a unique change in new India that you see. And therefore, this whole policy that you can't be successful if you're making money the value system changes. Value system is intrinsic. It will change even if you're Garib or Amir, it doesn't matter. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, when he comes into bat, you get an impression that entire Jharkhand is coming into bat. Here's Mahi. Thank you very much. Okay, now I have to do some value addition. Some gyan I'll give. You think it is gyan because this is something I have to do for Guru. Yes, after MBA marketing, I did not sit in campus because I had seen Jerry Maguire thrice in that last quarter of the placements. And I wanted to change Indian cricket. I wanted to change Indian sports. The first project I actually took after MBA was to popularize wrestling in India. I'm so happy that people from all over are winning wrestling medals because that was the first vision. Unfortunately, it was not basketball or football or cricket at that point. And joined Sunil Gavaskar's company. And I had gone with a strategy that we should turn academies into brands. See, globally, sports academies do well. And that point of time, Gavaskar had got this piece of land from the Maharashtra government, which talked about the Sunil Gavaskar Foundation. And we wanted to create a world-class academy where cricketers would come. And then I did a lot of research. And that point of time, his commentary career had started, so he did not pay that kind of attention. And I realized that there was a great corporate opportunity to have a cricket academy brand, which could be monetized at maybe 5 to 10 years later, because it's not something which is high value at that point of time. With today, things would have been a little different. And as you understand, sports marketing is two levels. One is when the game is marketed, and the second is where a brand uses sports as a vehicle to market its products. I'm talking of sports marketing when the sport has to be marketed. So IPL 2020, for example, the Hong Kong six-a-side are sports which are marketed. They might be created for brand opportunities, but it is marketing of the sport. And so we created this academy model, and we realized over a period of doing research that unfortunately, academies as brands run only when the sports person is deeply involved in the education process. For example, the biggest tennis academy in the world is Nick Bolletreit's Tennis Academy. And it did not happen because Nike supported him. It happened because Nick Bolletreid was sitting out there and making great champions like Sampras or whatever. So the thing was that we realized that unless Sunil Gavaskar spends that kind of time in the academy, it's not going to be as successful as we had thought. And therefore, if you see Gopi Chand and the Saina example, it's a great opportunity for a brand to associate with the sport of badminton, because we are looking at Sania to become #1 very, very soon. So this was something which I thought sports could, we could learn in terms of just marketing one sport and then coming into various, because it's not necessary that you just do a standard stuff like cricket marketing. Then I joined music television, which was more fun, because sports, I realized over a period of time, was more to do with television. You know, sports, we always say that ये match लगा दो 1000 लोग आ जाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं होता है. television and sports have a very critical role, and therefore I joined music television. Music television is one of the greatest marketing example. Don't talk about the music television we have been seeing in the last 3 years. The Splitsvilla in Roadies is not something that we should follow as a principle. But MTV had its brand values very, very straight. One was to build the MTV brand, which was not popular at that point of time. So how do you build the MTV brand? One of the classic things where actually I got my comedy rolling was the fact that every communication that comes out of the MTV stable came from a graph, came from a benchmark which said it has to be tested on the wackiness quotient. So if anything that we did, if you see MTV Bakra during that time we did, the world's longest dance party that we did, the MTV VJ hunt that we did, whether it was Cyrus Oshida's campaign on Liftman, Malishwala or whatever, all were unique characteristics of the MTV brand. Nothing of this like is happening today. So in MTV, one learned the differentiation when it comes to the television brand, which unfortunately in the clutter is not happening today. So that was a great example. Then there was, once you build the brand, there is a concept of show branding, where the whole game is to drive TRP. So it's important that you get TRP and therefore your revenue comes, because niche channels operate on a very single 0.9 to 1 TRP. And you actually don't make money, you have to actually sell that you are the best people to associate with youth and music, and therefore brands come into the channel. You're not playing the number game. But then it so happened we started marketing Bakra and it became a huge success. And then we started marketing Loveline. You remember Loveline? You didn't need to market Loveline. Come on, Malaika Arora was there. And Malaika Arora was there, but still the TRP was not good. I think post Munni it would have been much better. But we realized that we are not in the game of TRP, that the colors or the Star Pluses of the world should do. And therefore MTV should focus on building the environment of music television. Therefore advertisers will come on board. So there were some very interesting lessons in music television. One of the things that people who will go into entertainment marketing will realize that apart from the marketing that you do to the end consumer and the person who's going to buy on your channel, the trade plays a very important role, like advertisers, the music industry, the film industry. All these play a very, very critical role in the development of a media platform. And therefore MTV had various platforms which were there for these people. For example, the music industry, we had the Music Forum. Second is that for the advertising industry, we used to do the Youth Marketing Forum, because we used to tell advertisers that the best platform to reach the youth is music television. So in MTV, I learned the art of actually using marketing as a tool, not only for the external consumer, but for the internal consumer, as well as your trade partners. And that was a huge lesson. And the brand values of having, for example, Bakra was something which came in a conference room, and we were saying that, it's all about candid camera doing well. Why can't we create an Indian candid camera? There were 5 criteria of finding out what it worked, whether it worked in the wackiness quotient. And trust me, the number of times Cyrus Brocha has gotten beaten on that show is unbelievable. We still persisted. Luckily, the sponsors also were fine with us. So this was one angle that I took. And then the last angle which I actually got onto was the film business. I spent 2.5 years there because I realized that the content of television, however India might like it, will still be driven by films. So unless and until you master the film business and the understanding of it, you will not be able to drive any media channel, because the NDTVs of the world will also get a film star. The colors will also get a film star. Finally, Amitabh Bachchan is only hosting it. Hrithik Roshan is only hosting another show. So finally, we'll be all driven by the film industry alone. But how do you leverage the film industry is to understand how it works, firstly. I was part of 3 films that got released. All 3 flopped. So learning is higher when the product fails. We realize. We did Nagesh Kuknu's Teen Diware, Madhur Bhandarkar's second film called Sapta. And there was a bad film called Dil Vil Pyar Vyar. Actually, it was not a bad film, but these 3 films actually was important. For me, I put these 3 projects together in order to see how this whole distribution and production platform worked, and understood the business of film marketing. Can anybody tell me what's the most important thing in film marketing? Film marketing. Distribution is separate. Marketing. Product promotion. You cracked it, sir. Give a huge round of applause for the gentleman here. You know, the fundamental lesson that I learned is that mass media platforms can exist and you can do your promos, but at the end of the day, Hollywood describes this as a want to see element. Why do people take books and make movies out of it? Why is Amir Khan behaving the way he's doing for his next film? At the end of the day, it's all about generating the word of mouth, viral and buzz. So the key lesson that I learned in the film business, it's not about understanding how much television spots to use. It's to understand how to create buzz, because Friday, Saturday, Sunday decide your future. If you can't get 60% of the people, of the potential target audience to with their seats on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, your film will never do well. There was a time when Sholay grew on word of mouth, which means people watched Sholay and then told their friends and people, and nowadays nobody goes like this. Udaan was such a good word of mouth movie, but it did not do well. The problem is, if you can't get a critical mass on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the movie will not generate any kind of buzz. And that buzz, somebody who's cracked it extremely well is Amir Khan. And he does it in a sense which is, he doesn't even reveal the plot. If you realize, Lagan never told you that it's a cricket match. The normal tendency would have been to tell everybody that there's a cricket match in Lagan. Tare Zameen Par dyslexia was revealed very. I have a problem with Amir Khan though, which I shared with him. I think Tare Zameen Par destroyed the education system in India as well. Because now every mother's blaming her son's bad marks to dyslexia. So he agreed to it. And then Pa was made on progeria. At one point I wanted to tell Balki and all these people that you should make a film on malaria because that kills more Indians than all these diseases put together. But the idea was they use these platforms for, however, I have not read any Chetan Bhagat book, but however, like it or not, Vidhu Vinod Chopra and both of them benefited from that story. Because book is used by Hollywood as a very interesting device to get an initial for a movie, which is going to happen in India because I think Indians have started reading now. So these are 2 or 3 interesting lessons that I learned from the film business, which can be applied in various ways to your brands as well. And Madhur Bhandarkar is a great example. I mean, even before Fashion, the film released, there was 1 year on publicity on fashion. He was part of every fashion week that happened. So somewhere what you're saying is right. The mass media campaign comes a little later. It's all about generating buzz for the film. Therefore, PR and events become a very critical role of the film business. Lastly, my comedy career. I have 2 minutes. Why I shifted to all of this? Because I realized I had wasted my entire life. There are 2 things that you need to learn: PowerPoint and English. If you can master these 2, you don't need to learn any other subject in the world. And my learning of my comedy career after doing 300 conferences with chairmen from all companies across the world, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you, only 1% of people make good presentation. All the group discussions and all that we did in college, first of all, there is no discussion in corporate life. You just listen to your boss. So fundamentally, group discussions should be abandoned. I think there has to be focus on public speaking. However, Dale Carnegie and all these guys have written, we all believe, unfortunately, New India believes that they're dudes and they come on stage and can speak well. But it's not the truth. I can tell you, I have met only 3 good speakers after 600 events. And one of the biggest problems is this device called as PowerPoint. Sorry, no. And your presentation was great because it was nothing to do with graphs and all these tech details that put in. You know, just like India, whatever you've not achieved in your life, you want Tendulkar to achieve it for us. Similarly, all chairmen of companies and managing directors want their PowerPoint to deliver how much content they have. I think if you can make a presentation without a PowerPoint, you will be the most successful manager in your entire lifespan. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.